if that's the case, why are we the only ones talking about the Centauri Carbon cable issues? Why are we the only ones talking about the Bamboo A1 and P1S issues? Why? Because these companies pay enough money for people to shut up about it. You're not so vain that you think the song is about you, but it actually is. And you should take note of that.
This isn't my warning to them. We are closer than you think.
How do we feel about kind of pressuring companies? Like, I recognize we shouldn't have to do that. Like, realistically, just asking should do it, but are we okay as content creators applying pressure like that for something like open source? So I know I am, but clearly we're the only ones, since nobody else really talked about it either. And that's... I'm not happy about the fact that companies basically wait until, you know, they get called out to make a change, because Elegoo clearly knew about this well before we made our videos.
Yeah.
Why does it take, you know, us taking time, effort, and energy out of our day, likely torpedoing whatever relationship we had with Elegoo, to make a video calling them out on their open source issues, for them to actually do something?
It shouldn't have to happen that way. I don't like it. I think that we need to hold the entire industry to higher standards.
But with consumers not caring about open source the way they used to, do we just say this is the cost of doing business in this industry? Do we say that it is what it is? Like, what is the... Like, I hate that we always have to push toward outrage, right? Because it's not
the only type of sensationalizing that seems to work, because it makes them fearful for their bottom line. And that sucks. It shouldn't be that they have to be scared for their bottom line, but it also shouldn't be in the sake that we have to make them scared for them to do anything.
Right.
It's very hard to say. I do not actually know what us as a community can do. Like, we have no weapons. We have no threats. We have no way to force
open source doesn't have the teeth that it really needs to be successful. We basically need a law firm that exists solely to keep companies accountable for open source. But the issue is, most of them are in countries where litigating, good luck, it's not going to work. And it's such a problem. So I don't know. Like, if you guys have an idea, please let us know, because we would like to work on some sort of, whether it's a coalition, a group, we can maybe potentially look at getting attorneys involved that are willing to do this for little to no cost. Like, we want to find a way to help keep companies accountable that isn't just Grant has to make a video torpedoing a relationship, right? I don't like doing it because it means that we're one less company to potentially sponsor us to do cool things, right? Luke's Lab says, it's effed. The law firm would basically just be making money for itself. Yeah, there's really no, like, because there's no way to look at what the damages of non-open source is. Like, if you're supposed to be open source and you're not, like, what are the appreciable damages that you could pull from this? Right? I don't know. So, like, again, yes, you can technically litigate open source, but how do you recoup the cost associated with the financial outlay required to litigate such a thing?
So normally you would literally, you would do it under 3 different aspects. And I am going more on the American side because the British side wouldn't allow it at all. You would go damages/losses. And most lawyers will look at it, go, well, there is no losses. Right. It's a free thing. Yep. You can't lose anything on free.
Yep.
You can do a possible market impact where you can do damages and losses for other companies on behalf of a free project. So say company A steals free technology that should have been licensed. They earn $1 billion. Company B, who didn't do stealing, lost a lot of profit because of that stolen free tech. They can technically say they lost profit, and that is damages. Well, is it an easy fight? No.
It's not an easy fight.
Most lawyers will not look at it.
And it's why I'd like to see open source actually come with penalties for not for not abiding by it, because then, you know, whether it's a new system of open source that says, yeah, if you're supposed to be doing it and you're not, you're going to be, you know, in violation, and it's $500 a day. Okay. $1,000 a day, whatever it is. And like, you know, so Alan Kilgore saying, initially Elegoo flat out lied about Clipper being part of their firmware. When I got my CC, I emailed them for the source code and they replied that it was in-house firmware, no Clipper involved. Yep. Then they got caught. And unfortunately, it requires us to do things like this. And it's not fun. It's not fun because had it not been for us, I'm sure, I know Uncle Jesse Clayton asked them. Stefan of CNC Kitchen was one of the creators that asked me privately. He didn't say I couldn't say who it was, so I'm just going to say it. So I'm certain they had a much bigger impact than we did. But like, come on, guys. You're benefiting from the community. You need to give back to the community that allows you to be as free and open as you are, right? Because otherwise you're just being an asshole. We don't like that.
My business development manager, when we had him at the start, we had him for like almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really great guy. Has a lot of industry experience, like almost like 40 years of big industry experience. And the one thing that he drilled into me as we were developing the company is, and it sucks to say, and it's very sordid, so don't take this out of context, though immediately clip it out of context. You've got to do it, it's the law. Screw all of your ethics, earn money. It doesn't matter how moral you are going to be or what your standpoint is. If you are starving because you cannot feed yourself, because your ethics are getting in the way, it's not the world's problem, it's now yours. Do not care what you need to do. You can care when you have money. And that was something that really stuck with me, because everyone in this chat probably knows my ethos on safety and equipments and all of that, and we will never compromise on it.
Right.
And we have to make hard decisions sometimes where it is like, how far do we go? In theory, there is this perfect line of perfection. Everything below that is breaking our internal morals. But every time we go lower, we can actually start earning more money, because perfect means we earn nothing. And we have to choose a very fine line.
Yep.
And it's something that a lot of people also have to determine is, if you're doing a business and your morals are starting to get in the way of you like feeding your family, maybe start reevaluating your morals, because the world is kind of uncaring. And if you are unable to support the people you need to support because you are fighting the good fight, you are either doing something exceptionally good or exceptionally foolish.
Well, and ultimately,
they are not what is the term meaning? They're one or the other. Bloody hell, I had it in my head.
Mutually exclusive.
Yeah, they are not mutually exclusive. Having morals and that is not mutually exclusive.
And ultimately, the good fight doesn't care about you. If the good fight isn't keeping you alive, then it doesn't care about you. And yeah, that's kind of this weird thing that we have to stand on. Like, the bridge is already burned with bamboo. So like, ultimately, I don't care if we call them out. There is no risk outside of like other companies seeing us doing it and saying, oh, we don't really want to be involved with you, you know, doing this kind of thing. And you know what? Fine. If you don't want to, that's your prerogative. I don't care. But yeah, at some point, I can bet that pretty much every company has some level of something that they could be gone after for. I just don't know about it yet. And we are always happy to call companies out and do it in a, what we would like to call a more progressive way, in a way that kind of pushes for answers and not requests them. We are not the kind of company that's going to sit there and say, oh, well, whenever you're ready, go ahead and give us answers. It's no, we want answers. We want them now. And the longer you wait, the more of a problem we will become. But like Jacob said, it's a very slippery slope. The capitalist in me says, shut up, take the money and run, right? But the moralistic person, the person that was raised better than to just care about money, says, no, it's about what's right. It's what's good in the world. It's about doing the right thing. And If we're lucky, the community sees it. But unfortunately, in a lot of cases, people think that we just go on crusades. We don't. These companies just do dumb stuff constantly, and it's our job to talk about it. We're not going on crusades. I don't have a crusade against Bamboo. In fact, I am heavily excited for Vortec. I'm heavily excited to see, what they do in the future. Because, let's be real, they're setting the standard for 3D printing. But if they do it in a way that is not safe and is not efficient and is potentially breaking patents, I'm going to call them out for it. Because it's our job. And anyone, in my opinion, that sits by and lets these problems go and doesn't say anything about it, doesn't get involved because, they don't want to risk their relationship, you're part of the problem too. You're actively part of the problem. And if you're watching this saying, I wonder if he's talking about me, I probably am. Because if you have to ask yourself if I'm talking about you or we are talking about you, we probably are. You're not so vain that you think the song is about you, but it actually is. And you should take note of that. The real punk rock indeed, Amber says. Yeah. Slice of Mine Frankie carries on saying, I get that, I totally do. But as a brand new YouTuber, but a small business owner, I'm going scorched earth on any company, i.e. Gamers Nexus, that is going against consumer rights. Yeah. And that's why we're taking a Gamers Nexus approach to all of these consumer protection issues. So it's not about hating Bamboo, because I don't hate them. It's about protecting the consumer, because we don't need house fires, right? And yeah, okay. I already know Bamboo's not going to listen to me anyways, so I can say whatever I want. But I am pushing for consumer safety. That is what ultimately matters to me. And it's what matters to us. And it's what should matter to everybody. It's not about the money that goes into your pocket. It's about protecting people from injury or death. It's not what we do around here. Amber says, less about mistakes. Mistakes happen. It's more about transparency and honesty, which not a lot of companies seem to have. Yeah. Like, if the Free the Code people and the Open Centauri people brought this issue to Elegoo and they said, oh, you're right, we'll fix it. And then a week later, they had everything resolved. Hey, no freaking problem, right? That's no big deal. Everyone's happy. This is good. This is how the system should work. Mind you, they should have followed it from the beginning, but chances are these companies are large enough that it can get lost, right? I will always give a company the benefit of the doubt. I don't have an issue with that. But when you've literally lied to people in writing and people have called you out and you give them, BS answers, yeah, okay. It's time to turn up the heat a little bit. I would do it with Construct 3D. Absolutely would. If you guys were doing something you shouldn't be. Yeah. And companies that don't invite it are the ones that I think we should be looking out for more.
I mean, that's one of the reasons we like to publicize almost everything. The only thing we don't openly publicize is our data safety technical reports, mostly because everyone we talked to said, do not share this information.
There's no reason.
It is black book level stuff.
Yeah. And
well, it's because they can reverse engineer like encryption codes, and they can reverse engineer wiring paths. So they were just like, there's no point. Just the certificate saying you've done it is all people need. They don't need to see the individual steps and the change log of everything. But that's why we like doing everything we do, where we have a literal list somewhere on the website, which is probably out of date by now because it keeps growing, of directives we are following for safety. And I think it's up to 15 or 16 now. It's because otherwise people can't judge. And we need people to judge. It was only a week ago, somebody found a tiny ass spelling mistake on one of the pages. And we're like, cool, fixed. These things are stuff that I really like because it keeps us humble. We make machines can go wrong.
Yep.
It's our job to make sure they don't go wrong. But at the end of the day, I have a responsibility to make sure when something gets plugged in that, in theory, if you wire it in the exact opposite way, it can explode. Let's not make it explode. Let's keep that nice and contained.
And I get that a lot of these companies...
I'm still going to do the advert for the C2, I'm still going to probably set fire to the C2 and watch it self-extinguish and then start printing.
I mean, that'd be fun.
Because I think that's such a sick advert.
It is a pretty sick
printer
advert.
on fire, and then the printer just goes, nope, and continues.
And like, I get it that companies are trying to hit price points. C2 is not a printer that you're going to be looking at if you have a specific and a low budget, right? It is a business class machine for business class environments.
We're kind of going down the TikTok route, not TikTok the app, TikTok the Intel method.
You are.
Where we jump up, do a more expensive machine, jump down, do a cheaper machine, jump up, do a more expensive machine, jump down, do a cheaper machine. Because then the more expensive machines can develop new technology. They can do it all really great. And then we can distill all the best bits into the cheaper machines to push everything forward.
And that's the deal, man. This is actually where the trickle-down effect actually works. Why isn't the U.S. government consumer standards getting involved? I don't know. And it might be time to look at, making formal complaints and getting them involved. I would rather have an expert company that we're already working with to give us the analysis and then present all of that data to the Consumer Protection Standards organization and all that. But that also assumes that they still have staff, that they still have funding, that they are not backed up like crazy. There are all these other issues involved, and government, politics, religion, all of that. We could have a podcast that gets another 0 on the live viewers if we started talking about that stuff, and we don't. So again, ethics and morals are playing a part here.
And let's not forget also, 3D printing is still a very new industry, even for the US.
They don't understand it.
There is a reason in the UK there were no export codes for 3D printers. Nobody has tried it. We were the first. I doubt that, but we were the first to do it under the correct codes. And that is a very telltale sign, because export codes are easy to make.
Yes, they are.
They don't require legal process. It's just, hey, I need a code. And they go, here's your number. And then that number is set for any type of machine under that. Our government renamed FDM machines without even having export codes. Our government doesn't class FDM or FFF as a machine code anymore. It's MX for material extrusion. They made a name for a category that doesn't have a code. They didn't make it. That's how new this sector is, and it's entirely possible that in America it's the exact same. I mean, hell, this is how printers can get into, I'll say from my experience, the UK, where in the UK, in theory, the control office is supposed to look at the piece of paper that comes with any shipment and they go, yep, that's compliant, and it lets it through the country.
Yep.
No one is checking that.
No.
Because they don't care. And also, they ain't paid for that. They're paid just to move boxes.
Paid to move boxes.
And because of that, they're not gonna really get involved in, this machine is safe but illegal. It's not worth it for them. They'd rather go up against companies like Apple, where they took the blood oxygen meter in America incorrectly. That's real money. Instead of a sub £15 million per year turnover 3D printer company from like China.
Yep.
Like, why would they do that? There's no money there. They'd probably spend more in like logistics, just doing the paperwork.
They would. It's a shame. It would be nice if we could hold the smaller companies accountable for this kind of stuff. But if NVIDIA can't easily be held accountable for the 12-volt high power connectors, mind you, they're the largest company in the world right now. That's public. I should point out that there's probably some Saudis that are laughing at how much money NVIDIA has. But if they can't be held accountable easily, what's making you think that any of the smaller companies can either? Now, I get it, right?
Yep.
At least here in the States, with enough money, laws don't matter. There's obvious proof of this everywhere, but ultimately, I think when it comes to consumer safety and protection, there should be, no. You are not trusted. You have to prove that you're safe. And if we move about it in that way, I think we get a better overall experience for consumers. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I am worried that we are on the cusp of dude, think about it. If one of these bamboos or an Elegoo, I'm going to go with bamboo because there's a lot more of them out there.
Yep.
if a bamboo actually catches fire and burns a house down, think about how serious this becomes, right? You're now dealing with a company that has what anybody could easily argue is the widest distribution network of 3D printers on the planet, has some of the largest amount of 3D printers in the hands of consumers on the planet. Holy crap.
That's bad.
That's a really big bad. Problem.
The problem is you will get a government agency who doesn't understand the technology.
Nope.
And they are going to do a crackdown, and it's going to be a blanket crackdown, and they're not going to understand why it happened. They're just going to go 3D printer dangerous.
Right.
And that's dangerous itself.
And, you know, they could just say, hey, we're going to block bamboos from coming into the country. That's not the right solution either. It's the easy solution initially until you can determine the problem, but it's not the right solution. The right solution is to fix it before it becomes a problem, or, you know, not have the problem in the first place. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, to be clear. And it's why we're collecting Centauri Carbon cables as well that are having the arcing and sparking problem so that we can get them tested. We all know what the problems are, but I need an expert to tell us what the actual problem is so that when we present it to you all, people can't easily say that I'm on a crusade or, you know, we're on a crusade. We're not on a crusade. The only crusade that we're on is a crusade to keep you all safe when you inevitably do something stupid.
And to be honest, that's how I see it's going to go down. It's either going to spread enough without any mistakes that it becomes normalized. And then if something happens, they just go, it was happenstance, which isn't good because it's normalized bad practice. Or it's going to go wrong and they're going to overcorrect like video games did for that very small period of time where everyone was like, no, think of the Gooners. We can't do that. So now the children get scared. Like, it's an overreaction of that. Both are bad. There is a happy middle ground. It's called just follow the law. But to do that, there needs to be reform. And reform is expensive, and governments don't want to do it because it doesn't earn them money. It just costs money.
And at least on the Elegoo side of things, I see their issues being significantly less of a problem because it's an easy fix, right? It doesn't require you to open a machine. Well, I guess it does. It does require you to get into the back end of the machine. It's a USB-C cable, and it's a little short. Now, commenters have said, if you want to keep this from happening, you're supposed to pull on the USB-C cable a little bit to give you a little bit more slack. And their best guess, someone's got 4 machines, and 2 of them had the issues. And when they look at the cables, the 2 machines that don't have the problem have more cable exposed. So they think it's just an assembly issue, which, okay, fine.
I still don't like that solution. That sends so many warning symbols.
I don't like that solution
either. Every defense mechanism in manufacturing is going off in my head. That shouldn't be a thing.
I totally agree with you. But outside of completely replacing the USB-C cable with one of your own, just fine. Go get a nice USB-C cable, go get an Anchor cable or something like that that's guaranteed forever. Go get a nice cable and replace it yourself. That's kind of your only option initially. Or you have to work with Elegoo when it has a problem, which I don't think is appropriate either. So, and look, we have like 6 or 7 confirmed cases on this. It's not a ton yet, but we're seeing more than our fair share of problems on this. And it's a very easy fix. It's a new cable. As far as the fix goes, it's so simple.
I'm just trying to actually think of the possible impact for regulation, because there are regulations around wire control, and sometimes USB-C isn't allowed in certain areas. Now, there is a probable cause to say 3D printers are exempt from some of these laws, meaning it is okay. But with that being said, I wouldn't be using personally a non-drag chain rated USB-C cable because they're not designed for machinery. It's neat. It's a good solution. It's a very high quality cable. It's massively optimized. It's an industrial standard for a reason. It's not designed for machinery. Like, there's a reason locking connectors work. Hell, there's a reason most good industrial machines still use VGA or serial ports. You know why? They've got bolts
They
that
got
go through the
bolts. They
connector.
got bolts. They don't move. They don't wiggle.
They are great. When you can pick
Yeah.
up your entire machine by the cable, you know it's a good rated cable, especially when there's like extra shielding and then slack. Like, hell, I want to say a year and a bit ago, we changed our probe supplier from I can't remember our original probe supplier because they were generic name number 15 because it was just a product code. That's all I remember them as. But we changed over to the Pepperl and Fuchs NPM 412G E1s, which are amazing. But the big difference why we changed wasn't the quality of the actual probe. It was the wire. The wire had fiberglass slip rings
Oh, that's
designed
nice.
all the way through it so the wire could shift slightly inside the sheath. It was amazing. Amazing. It made it an absolute pain to splice because you had to now cut fiberglass.
Oh, it would be terrible.
It was worth it.
But to be
Oh, it
clear,
was worth it.
there are USB-C cables with screws, and in fact, the Centauri Carbon uses it. DevMiner saying, do not replace it with your own USB-C cable, so don't listen to what I just said earlier. You know, they run 24 volts through the cable, which chips for USB-C PD cannot usually tolerate, so you will kill cables. I mean, most of my cables don't have USB-C PD stuff. They're not triggered. They're just generic cables. It's the device that triggers the PD, but I don't know enough about it. It's just safer. There's a solution. The solution is to not cheap out. That's the solution. But Elegoo is kind of the king at riding that line and having a product that is so affordable. It's like, well, I can tolerate a little bit of risk. And I don't like that. I don't.
Yeah.
And as someone that wants Centauri Carbons, I want to add Centauri Carbons to our print farm. The cable issue is like a significant, it's a significant issue for me to trust them in a print farm environment. Thankfully, the cables themselves should be FR rated, or at least, you know, they're not going to continue to burn. But it's not what you want to have, man. It's not what you want to have.
You know what's actually kind of bad? So this might shock you. There's no laws about needing those cables to be flame retardant rated. There is none. We do it because we know the risk. But most of those cables will be PVC generic material. They will not be either silicon, which is naturally flame retardant, or they will be they won't be V0. They won't be V anything. And there's no laws against it. They just, there's no requirement to. Like, if a wire fails, that's it. Like, too bad.
Yep.
Law said, get good. So, yeah, like, at that point, you're trusting the company to have done the right thing. For example, actually, this is going back to the that slider of ethics versus morality, and I was talking about how our safety is the highest. One of those sliders was the wires. Only very few of our wires are flame retardant rated. What we ended up doing instead was it was actually easier to flame retardant rate the entire machine. So even if the wires catch fire, it's not going to spread, it's not going to propagate, there's no risk to the actual building.
Right.
But the cost of like FR wires, that's spending. Hell, Grant, do you remember how much those wires were when we went to Beaver Rail in the UK?
Yeah,
they had a room of not many wires, I should say, just big spools.
Over
but
$1
not
million in cables because it was all FR rated.
Yeah. Literally, they picked up one just like almost a 5 kilo spool of filament sized reel and were like, yeah, this is 15 grand.
Yep.
It's not special wire. It's the flame retardantness. So it gets very expensive very quick. That's one of the things companies do have to consider. But you've also got to make sure the company actually has, you know, considered it, or it can end up pretty bad pretty quickly. And you don't want that.
No, you don't. We just want things to be better, damn it. We just want things to be better. And it is... It's tough.
It is tough. It's one of those things where I don't think it will get better. but it will get better slowly over time just because people wisen up to better suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
There will always be like hey, this supplier is 1 pence cheap, this supplier is 1 pence more expensive. And surprise, not all of the more expensive suppliers are better. That is not a fact. It is not we should go from lead screws to ball screws because ball screws are better. No. It's perceived better because more expensive equal better, but it doesn't actually work that way in real life. So eventually the global knowledge value will get high enough that safety does rise. But it's hard to say. I just wish it was better for everyone. Just a little bit.
And look, I would argue that if the Centauri Carbon went up to 350 instead of 300 USD, that it would not lose out on most of its customers. And to provide a safer machine that maybe even has a little bit of profit to be donated to the open source communities that keep it alive, like the Clipper community and things like that, like the Clipper devs, I would think that that would be a huge selling benefit. If Elegoo raised their price, and we are raising our price because we are abiding by open source, we are providing you a better cable, we are, donating, a percentage of that $50. Say we're donating $20 per machine directly back to the Clipper team, or even $5 back to the Clipper team per machine. Huge. That would get me to trust them more. When a company comes out and says, you know what, you're right, we screwed up, we're going to fix this, and we're going to take care of it.
You know what I saw the other day that I kind of want to get my hands on just to see the mechanism? Because I don't think I found any on the open source, just printables or things or whatever. There was a filament jam cutter for the... Oh, I need to call their name out because it was a really good idea, and I'm not going to steal the limelight from a company that has actually developed something nice. Where is my history? But basically, there's that filament reloader where there's two bays where you put filament
it's like the
in
Infinity One or something like that.
Yeah,
that's right. They
released
released their jam cutter that works with their system. I did think that was pretty cool. I think I saw that
neat,
too.
Where it's just like a spring that once it latches, it just automatically cuts the filament free.
Mm-hmm.
And that was lovely. And I think most printers should have that nowadays. Just having some form of, hey, the end of the spool has hit the thing and it might have gotten jammed. Boom.
Yes,
gone.
Infinity Flow. DevMiner got it. Infinity Flow. Yeah. I think I think that's a cool system, especially for people that have machines that don't have MMUs, AMSs, whatever, where if you just put two spools of the same, when one runs out, the next one comes through. Awesome. But literally, as I'm experiencing on one of the plus fours, and I will experience on these two that are behind me before this episode is over, when the filament runs out, there's that little thing in the tail that keeps it from unwinding on the spool. That gets stuck in the Bowden tube. The machine thinks it's clogged, and it pauses. Have you not seen it?
No, Grant, you've not seen it. They've done one better. It's an add-on for their system.
Yes. Yeah. No, that cuts it and then goes to the other line.
Yes.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's lovely because it stops that problem of it got caught. And I think almost every printer should have that nowadays, especially if there's a filament run out sensor. Just having thing went wrong. It's such a cheap upgrade. This is the definition of cool. Though I do not know if it's open source. I cannot find anything on the design world other than what they've done to put it in chat, which is a shame because it would have been really nice to see it on other machines like Bamboo Labs.
I would like to see. I've got to reach out to them because I would like to get one, test it out, and try it. Time Traveler DMC says, oof, but it's $500 for a full kit with the enclosure. Yeah, it's not going to be cheap. It's designed for businesses that want to run more often, and maybe they don't have a Construct 2 with the lights out production unit that just does all this stuff for you. You have to add it on to a different machine. $500 for that to add on to a printer to now have 2 kilos accessible and will deal with all the little BS that you might run into. Worth it. Worth it every single day of the week, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Right? Time is my biggest issue. If I had an infinity flow on the cheaties right now, I would have one machine that's still printing, and the two that are behind me that are printing right now will run out of filament before this podcast is over, and that would just switch to the next roll. I wouldn't have this issue. But I don't have that. And yes, I could use the cheaty box and all that. I don't like the cheaty box. I'm not going to use it. You know, it's got a lot of problems. And so I think it would be great. And I think they've got a good market for themselves because no one else really plays with it. So I think that'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Deadminer says it seems relatively easy to design yourself. Ooh. Sure. But if somebody else
there's
already...
There's a difference between design yourself and take. And I don't like the idea that somebody has
the box
done
turtle
this.
Time Traveler was talking about was expensive. Yeah, box turtle is expensive. It is open source and it comes as a kit. So there you go.
You could make it for cheaper. The box turtle is not massively expensive.
No, you absolutely could make it cheaper. But the deal is you don't have to. You're paying for the convenience of not having to make it yourself. Right? So.
Yep.
I don't know.
Plus, it's a nice kit. It's nice to have that, just everything done for you. Time is money, and when you are sourcing every individual part, it just becomes a pain.
I agree.
Yep.
I think the big thing for me from that show was Make Good. We've seen them before, but I've never actually had a chance to talk to them. So it's Make Good out of New Orleans. They're kind of known for their wheelchair. A fully 3D printed wheelchair.
That's cool.
Down to the tires, the rims, the seat, with variable TPU for the seat so you can get the right amount of squish that you need to make it comfortable. Even the straps are printed in TPU. It's not necessary, obviously, but yeah, if you look up Make Good NOLA, N-O-L-A, you'll find them. I didn't put it in the description because I wanted to leave some of my Printopia stuff, you know, a little bit, I don't know, secretive, I guess. That was the big thing for me, though. I want to see more people utilizing 3D printers in their downtime, especially like if you've got a print farm like we do and you've got downtime, why not make parts for, you know, Make Good, Enable, products like that to help your local community. So we're going to be working with Make Good to set up a kind of a hub here in the Florida region so that when we have extra space and capacity in our print farm, that we can be making pieces for people that need parts for Make Good. And these are all accessibility things. They've got Braille cards with pins that you can push up and down to, you know, produce Braille as needed. They had some writing implements to assist those who don't have full dexterity in their hands, or maybe they're missing parts of their hands, or they're relearning how to use their hands. Let's say they had a stroke and they're relearning how to use their hands and how to write. Having 3D printed implements to assist in this is hugely beneficial. And like, dude, the amount of inspiration that I left after talking to them, tremendous. Like, I am once again jived about taking our print farm, upping my energy bill by heavy extents, but printing out as many parts as we can to assist another, nonprofit to do this kind of thing. This is what we need in the industry. So many of us will print things for ourselves and it's fun and whatever, but the outward community thinks that a lot of us just print dragons or firearms or stupid things like that to them don't have a lot of value. Printing a wheelchair for a kid or a teen or even an adult, because a real wheelchair, if you can't find one at like a thrift store, is so expensive. It's so expensive here in the States. I know. It's so expensive that it is often cost prohibitive for someone to have access to that, especially when they're kids and they're growing. So to me, Make Good is embodying what we say is making awesome. but the name is close enough that it was Make Good. I did say keep making awesome, but I probably should have said keep making good at the end of their little bit. I think that would have been fun. I loved it though. They were at the Cookie CAD booth, so they had, wheelchairs made all out of Cookie CAD, which is like really sweet because Cookie CAD has some beautiful colors. We are good. We will absolutely be making stuff with them. So that was awesome. I think the other thing that I was just uniquely attracted to at the show was this old 3D printer, aka Rain Motorsports, that had the most amount of 3D printers at a booth from any of the companies. And they were all old. So he had Thingomatics, Cupcakes, Rep Ones, had a printer bot, had a Simple Metal as well, had like Lulzbot has 3, 4, 5, and 6, I believe, had a big box there, all these older machines. Just hearing those old machines, primo for me. The noise those old machines made is just so nostalgic to me that I loved it. There's also Hatch X. Hatch X was the only booth that uses 3D printers that didn't have a 3D printer at it. And they also had the most professional booth that I've ever seen. Like, the most professional booth I've ever seen. They use Massivit 3D printers. So they had like a 12-foot, a 10 or 12-foot tall statue of a boxer, but they are also known for making professional exhibits. So they brought a professional exhibit. They had a DeLorean, a half-cut DeLorean that they brought, that everything was 3D. There was like 99% of it was 3D printed. Even the wires for the, what do they call it? The Mr. Fusion kit. The wires, which you would think they would just use wires for that, right? Doesn't make sense. No, it was filament. It was raw filament.
That's quite cool.
It's pretty cool.
That's quite cool.
But like to watch them set up and tear down, it's like, oh yeah, they've done this like 18 times before easily. It was very cool to see that. And looking at it saying, oh, that's a Massivit print. They're like, how did you know that? I'm like, I've been around the block a few times. They're like, really? Not many people know Massivit. I'm like, oh yeah, I know Massivit. I've used their machines before. They're really cool. They're FDM resin. It's the best way to look at it. So they use resin to extrude, and then they have really bright UV lights to cure it. Very, very cool system. They make...
Did you know we have an open competition with them?
Yes. Yes, you've told me. You've shown me.
Yeah, I've shown you actually. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, when we showed off our very first prototypes of the printer at TCT, Massivit were across the hall from us. And they came over, saw the speeds we could do, and at the time, relatively large form factor, and they gave us a huge, like, 1.5 meter F-16 model that they made at the show and said, we need competition, make a machine that can challenge us to make this part. So we have their part on our table in the factory at all times to remind us where we're slowly going to eventually get is we will build a competitor to Massivit. We are much closer than they are aware. This isn't my warning to them. We are closer than you think.
Shot across the bow as it was. Very cool. Massivit, they are known for making stuff fast. They are not high resolution. I wouldn't even classify it as high quality. I would say it's more than capable. But Massivit is used for when you know you're going to be sanding. And you need a base sculpture, and then you want to skin it with Bondo, sand it, and paint it. Massivit is perfect for this because it is very, very, very fast. And because it doesn't use filament, you just stick tubes into vats of resin, and it pumps it out. But of course, remember, resin is toxic. I guess we can talk a little bit about, since Olaf is mentioning it, we did have some sad news come out in the last 2 weeks. Index is delayed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is the sad news that came out that Index is delayed, shipping Q1 of 26, which I will remind people can be as late as March. Okay.
But with that being said, it is also good news. It
has apparently changed quite a bit since we saw it. Also, that roll behind me is about to finish. You see how little there is? I think this is good news because it means that they're really spending the time to get it right. It is a bummer to me that Bamboo's likely going to have Vortec on the market first, and I would have really liked to see Bondtech on the market first with Index, simply because it's frustrating, because they clearly copied Index on that. But it is what it is.
I mean,
If Bondtech's going to take the time to make it better,
going to launch theirs first. If Prusa launches theirs first, it'll be fine.
That's fair. So we do have to see when the definitely not confirmed, definitely not in even Bondtech's own marketing photos, Prusa Core 1 with Index on it, coming out soon. I really should shut my mouth because I know some things that I cannot talk about that are happening behind the scenes.
That's
all I'm gonna say.
Bondtech is the type of company that will happily make the best quality products possible, and if that requires a delay to make them better, they will do that, and that is a very good thing. A rushed product is bad. Do not rush products. Just in general, that's life advice. Do not rush something when it's actually kind of important. And Olaf in the chat just saying Bamboo Lab printer plus the AMS and Vortec is hardly a competitor. Shots fired.
I don't disagree because you still have to purge out when you cut the filaments. So you still have to purge out whatever's in the hot zone of the machine. So there is still some purging required. They'll just do it in the prime tower, and that's just going to be what it's going to be. But it will require a bigger prime tower. I am bummed, of course. I guess they are going to theoretically be taking pre-orders according to Olaf. And he said it's technically not delayed. But yeah, November release for pre-order. Yes, shipping Q1 of 26. So I will say that things have changed quite a bit since we saw it. And I'm very excited to see how much smaller things have gotten. Olaf has, said that there is a beacon now in there, which means perfect first layers every single time. So like, yeah, I'm very excited for that. Obviously Core 1 with Index. Sign me up. I was signed up before I even knew it was a thing. But yeah, suffice to say, you should be keeping an eye on, let's go with non-Chinese 3D printer companies for releases in the next month. It's
oh, yeah.
Really, month and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Month and a half. Yeah, but it is a bummer, of course, that shipping is going to be delayed on the Index. But like you said, if there are good reasons for it, I'm fine with it.
Honestly, Index is probably also the most freeing pieces of technology that is hitting the market recently, because
it does feel free.
But Index is one of those print heads that I see being able to be fitted to a wide variety of machines and be very high quality, almost to the point where in like previous podcasts I've been talking about that growth of performance that eventually peters out. I feel Index is up there. It's right at the top. Like, there's not much more you can do.
Look, Index has just taken that bottle of nitrous that you definitely didn't plumb, taking it right to the intake of the car, just cranking open that bottle. You're pushing a fair bit of nitrous into the motor, and while there might be danger to the manifold, and while the passenger floorboard of your 90s era Eclipse might fly out, because clearly that's where the manifold is, you can still drive your car, I promise. You won't keep it, but you are still in my good graces. Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
I'm bummed that it's taken a little bit, but I'm excited. I would say the other cool thing, and this was like we knew about it before the show, was the Dummy 13 from Gabe, but he brought tons of body parts for it, and they were all white, so you could paint your own.
Oh,
yeah. And they brought paint markers. And so throughout the weekend, they were building more Dummy 13s that had body panels that were fully colored by people at the show.
That is cool.
What a cool little marketing thing. He also released the Dragon. I think that was released at the show. But there's now a Dummy 13 Dragon that you can buy and print and all that. But seeing Dummy 13 have all these fans drawing on it, like, 10 out of 10 cool for me. Absolutely love seeing it. And I thought, dude, that is some dope marketing. Absolutely so cool on the marketing side of things. We did a little bit. I, of course, am not an artist, so it looked like crap, but it was cool. Dreams about asking, does the Dummy 13 have a saddle for the Dragon? I don't know. If it doesn't, we'll just bother Gabe for one in the Discord, and he'll make sure that it happens. Because we can bother Gabe constantly, because he's in our Discord, and he's awesome. He also just had a birthday recently, so happy birthday, Gabe. But I did I did really like that. I thought that was a very unique way to market a product, right? And they weren't selling anything, they were showing. That's the, that's an event where they're showing, they're not selling. I liked it.
Yeah. I like that.
Of course, seeing old friends, we get to reconnect with our .comrades as it was, your internet friends in person, get to hang out with them, hung out a bunch with the Gloop peeps, Carly, the Andrews, Kevin, I think was the other person they had with them. I forget his name 100%. I'm really bad with names. But it's like, it's always fun for us to go to the shows because we get to see so many people. We get to meet fans, take pictures with fans, sign things. I don't know. It re-energizes me for this community and the industry because, yeah, there's a lot of BS. It's like, oh my God, I hate this so much. But when you go to these events, all the drama goes away, man. And it's all about just people showing cool stuff. The Hue Forge team with Flat Forge, amazing. Love it. So, you've done Hue Forges before, right? Or at least you know the concept of it.
I know the concept
right?
of it.
So
the reason I haven't done a Hue Forge yet is because I'm holding out. So my first Hue Forge is on a C2.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I do it on a Bamboo Lab because I have one right there. And that seems wrong in many ways. And I'm not going to do that.
This is an old Hue Forge that I did. It's not good. I was still learning, but this was a Hue Forge that I did. A photo that I took when we were in Paris. The thing is, it's rough, right? Flat Forge, as the name might suspect, would be on the bottom. It'd be flat.
Oh, so it does it all on the bottom layer?
Yeah, so it's all smooth, or whatever texture your build plate is. And so, like, they had a chessboard, or a checkers board. Could have been either. That was all done with Flat Forge. So it was granite colored, and it felt smooth.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
It was really, really neat. I said, you know what? That's awesome. I guess they're going to be releasing it as a one-time buy for Hue Forge. So it's an add-on to regular Hue Forge, but it's a one-time purchase. I think it's like $15 or something like that. Super affordable for what you're getting. And personally, I think Flat Forges are way better than regular Hue Forges because then you can encapsulate the back and make it flat as well. So you can make panels. But here's where it gets even cooler, Jacob. You can do a Hue Forge on the bottom and on the top.
Didn't expect that. Not gonna lie. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is really cool.
That's actually kind of cool. That's really, I have already just thought of so many plans I could do with that.
So,
oh my God.
We also got to see a Snapmaker U1 in person. There was like 3 or 4 of them at the show, and there's only like 19 out there. There's not very many of them out in the world, but there were like 3 or 4 of them at the show. So I had to see a Snapmaker U1. I got to see them running. Very cool, interesting machines.
What's your thoughts?
I didn't really get to dig into the firmware, and that's always where I worry about Snapmaker. It's going to be in the firmware. Hardware, though, looked reasonably stout to me. And, at that Kickstarter early bird price, yeah, the price is pretty good. At $1,000, I think it's still a decent price. And certainly when you compare that to an XL, unless you need the build volume or that 5th tool head on the Prusa XL, yeah, the Snapmaker U1 is a better bang for the buck, unless you really do like supporting Prusa and you like supporting the open source and Prusa Slicer and all that. Fine, go with the XL. But I would think that Index with Core 1 will be the biggest kind of competitor directly to the Snapmaker U1. So I'll be very interested to see how that comes out, what Prusa's plans are in terms of the upgrade path from standard Core 1 to Index Core 1, as well as can you do, say, 4 heads instead of the 8 or the 7 that are required, that fill the whole thing out. Can you do just a few less? I would say probably one of the most interesting talks that I had was with Psycho, aka Yuto, about JERF, the Japan Rep Festival, in late May 2026.
Have you been invited, or have you just been told you can show up?
Yuto, who is the organizer of the event, invited us out to the event.
Okay, let me clarify, because we get a lot of invites that aren't invites. Because if it's an invite that you can show up to a public event and you still have to pay for everything, that's just being
Well,
told there's a public event you can pay to show up at.
okay, fair. But when the organizer of the event says, we would love for you to be there, would you come out? I say, I will do everything in my power to make it.
Yeah, you need to go. It's Japan. Come on, Japan's gorgeous. You want to go.
And Yuto flew over from Japan to see 3D Printopia, to see what the Rep Fests are like here in the States. Came with Ibos, who is based in Shanghai. But I got to meet the CEO of Ibos as well. And it reminded me of a very specific thing that I learned back in business school, of different cultures and how they deal with trading business cards. So the Chinese and Japanese are very tradition based. And so if you are talking to someone who is, you know, of Chinese or Japanese, and specifically Chinese, we see it more often in, and they bow. When they hand you a business card, they will hand it to you with both hands. You take it with both hands and you hold it in your hand the entire time that you are talking. When you hand them your card, same deal. 2 hands and a bow. It is a respect thing. And yeah, it was very, very cool to enjoy that bit of respect with someone who I've never met before. And it was the CEO of the company, which was super cool. Very, very nice people that I've never met before and have wanted to meet. And it was awesome. We do have the Tetras from Ibos here. It is currently installed on our Bamboo AMS, and it is pretty freaking awesome. So it's a 4-bay individual heater controlled drying system for the AMS. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
David Counter Server said, so no Rocky Mountain Rep Rap next year. That's in April. So in theory, we could go to both. Rocky Mountain Rep Rap is much more affordable for us than going to Japan, to be clear. But if we can, we're going to go to both. So, but yeah, I am very excited hearing Yuto talk about what his plans are for Jerf. Like, oh, hell yes. Absolutely hell yes. Of course, we got to see Doug, Dreams Void, where we picked up some of these lovely flyers for the Construct 2. Look at that. Look how beautiful that is. Look how pretty that flyer is. Look at those numbers, though. Look at those numbers. Check them out, construct-3d.com.
You do not know how hard it was to get those flyers made.
I remember.
That is a 5th iteration of that. No, this is after all of the edits were done.
Oh, really?
Just getting them printed. Because, so, for everyone who wants to know, I don't have a mirror. I have one monitor there. And there, and there, and there.
Jacob has 6 monitors.
I have 6 monitors. The main monitor is an OLED, color calibrated for cinematography work. This monitor is color calibrated IPS panel. And this monitor is a color calibrated VA panel. So when I do artwork, I can guarantee the color choice is specific for different media source like representations and how it's being made. I will always print on my surprisingly cheap photo grade printer. It's one of the 8 ink colored.
Say it's probably a Canon.
Inkjet. No, it's XP.
Oh, okay.
It's got
CMYK, W, black.
And then it's also got light magenta, dark magenta,
light gray,
like
dark
3
gray.
more skin colors. Yep. It's got a load more inks to get perfect color calibration. I printed them, looked great. Fantastic. Sent them off to get printed. They came back almost jet black. They just like oversaturated everything. There's a weird green tint to everything. You can even kind of tell on that one you've got in front of you. There's just like a very slight green to the gray.
Yeah, there's a little bit, but it's not bad.
It was supposed to be a 2% blue to that grey because it's blue and yellow. Those were the color schemes that I wanted to keep throughout. Desaturated blue and yellow. Yeah, didn't work. So I ended up having to take 2 separate orders of 5,000 flyers, taking like 20 pictures from each batch, merging them all together to get an average color offset amount, correct the original file so it looks like ass on the PC, send it back to them to then send me another 5,000
So what happened
of
to the other
actual color.
10,000?
They're just in boxes. I have no idea what I'm going to do with them.
Good fire starters.
They technically work.
Did you pay
but
for them or no?
We got refunds every time.
Okay, good. Olaf is asking Index for Construct 3. It would be on Construct 2 if he could get the CAD. I'm just saying. He's asked. We can ask you directly if you want. Just saying. Just saying.
We'd also get Index on Construct 1 because they're different classes of machines, not different machine grades. So we can have a Construct 1i and a Construct 2i, or whatever the naming convention is, because I want to make a better name for the Index machines. Just saying. Just saying.
Just saying.
Like,
just saying.
It doesn't just have to be on a C2. It can be on the entire spectrum, because that's how good I think Index is. It has a place on every industry scale. Just saying.
You know how to reach us.
Going back on topic before we get even more thirst trappy for Index, because it's going to happen
we
anyway
got to
later.
see the print-a-block printer, a printer that's printed and can print itself, so you can print more print-a-block printers.
It's so cool. I got to see all of them in Doug's garage when I collected Doug from his house to drop him off at the bus station to get to place. It was so much fun. We were just talking the entire way there. Doug is so bloody smart. The most common thing I told him was, bro, you need to write that down. Because he had so many good ideas. I'm like, Doug, write that down. Stop keeping them in your head. That's a good idea.
The funny thing was, Doug and the Gloop booth were the physically farthest away possible on the main floor, but they had this like back and forth going because Gloop wants to stick the printer together, but Doug says, no, you can't. It was very funny. They had this funny little rivalry going, but it was very interesting to see a printer that was printed, 3D printing parts for the printer that was printed, so you can print another printer that's printed. Just call me Exhibit at this point, because yo dog, I heard you like 3D printers. He was at the Recreator 3D booth, so there was also a lot of recycled PET being printed, which was even cooler because, you know, your boy likes the reduce, reuse, recycle kind of stuff. It's fun. And of course, Doug had a whole slew of things. He got a huge box of English Yorkshire tea. I'll have to compare that to the Yorkshire tea that I have that I bought on Amazon in the States, see if there's any difference between them. He had some things I'm not going to discuss. Oh, there goes the other one. Yep, there goes the other spool.
Hey.
He had some things that I won't discuss on camera. We provided him some things that I won't discuss on camera. A bunch of random English Kit Kats. We got a Norwegian Kit Kat from the fan in Norway that sent the burned out bamboo board. And of course, he had the burned out bamboo board. The room is massive. They have enough room in that facility for 30 plus extrusion lines. And Jacob, I've never seen this before. I don't know if you have. The main power for the building goes through massive bus bars that are on the ceiling.
Oh,
and it's like industrial level DIN rail, but it's 3-phase. They have 2,000 amps of 3-phase 480 and are wired for an extra 4,000 amps.
Oh, that's a spicy hot end if that all went into one.
Yeah, so that's interesting. We actually got to film a Prushiment line. We can now officially film Prushiment lines, so you guys will see video from the Prushiment lines and what Prushiment lines look like compared to the printed solid lines. That's awesome. We checked out their print farm with over 100 Prusa printers, making parts for the Prusa printers so you can make more Prusa printers. They have 2 dedicated assembly rooms, one for Mark 4S, one for Core 1. And they have a full R&D department ran by Nomad's Galaxy, aka Anthony, and Mitch 3D, Backpack Mitch. So yeah, it's like a 95,000 square foot facility. Their shipping department has more square footage than their entire old building has. That's also neat. I was standing next to over $250,000 of HD90s.
That's neat.
They had over 20 HT90s in boxes.
Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
So Printed Solid has upgraded, and since they're right on the major commuter Amtrak line, they hung signs outside the back of the business with, advertising and stuff on it. So they get like thousands of people going past it every single day. And of course, they have their own bucking. So they have their own access to the railway.
How big did you say their facility was again?
95,000 square feet. Went from like 14,000 square feet to 95,000 square feet.
That's like 80 of my factories.
Yeah. Shane
That's
says,
a lot.
That might explain the reported missing HT90 over there. Sus, very sus. I did come home with an extra bag. That's all I got to say. Yeah, the R&D was cool. I got to lay down welds for the first time. I've never welded before in my life.
Really?
I have now welded.
It's fun.
I have now welded.
It's really fun.
I should not weld with one hand. I tried holding a camera in the other hand. I did not do a good weld. But for my first time, I didn't realize they ran the welders really hot. So I was going a little bit slower than I should have. But I did a pretty decent job. I was happy. What
type of welding did you do?
MIG.
MIG, TIG, MIG.
MIG. Yeah, I've never done TIG. One day I'll do TIG, but it's all on steel. So we got to weld real parts. Or no, I did not weld on a real part. I welded on scrap, but I got to work on a real part for their... So they have a whole R&D department that works on improving efficiency inside of Printed Solid. Super cool.
See, this is what I love about these events.
Dude,
it's
it was
not
great.
About the products.
No,
it's about people.
It's about the
people are so good. The people are what make it happen. I love it.
You know what's funny? All the people that we were talking to, a lot of like the corporate people. So like we were hanging out with the Diamondback guys, talked with the CEO of Ibos, obviously had some conversations with Joe and the other Prusa teams, talks with Soraya Tech, Luke's Lab, many others. Sorry, that was not like a joke for Luke. I just had to clear my throat. It sounded like I was making a joke. I wasn't, I promise.
Yeah. There was no joke there about Luke's Lab. Nothing at all.
No, nothing. They all said the same thing. As we get older, we care a whole lot less about the tech and we care a lot more about the people.
Yeah.
So I think we're moving in the right direction. I hope. So
I'd like to think so. Like, especially as the RepRap festivals have been becoming more popular, the community has been getting stronger. And it's one of those communities that I don't see anywhere else. Like, we don't have it in the CNC world. We've got communities, but they're not this. Like, you've got the maker community.
Right.
But it isn't the same. It's a different community. It's just overlapped, where the RepRap festivals are the industry. They are the people that use it. And I love it. Also, these like in-jokes that everybody seems to know because it's just that tight-knit is so nice to see.
Yeah.
You don't get it otherwise.
No, they're like, why the hell? I'm like, don't worry about it. It takes me way too long to explain it. Just go with it. It's funny. So yeah, I had a really fun time at the show, and that is all we have for you all today on episode 245 of the Making Awesome podcast. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones, and remember, you must actually be present to win. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, keep making awesome. Crashed. That's fun.
Ben's asking if it's time for a cuppa. It was time for a cuppa 20 minutes ago.
Brother.
I am literally enjoying energy drink boosters and sugar. I've been eating jammy Dodgers off of scene. I've just had a nice
Okay, I'm
lunch,
back.
and my body's like, sleep time. See, I thought I was the one going to crash today because I've only found out I'm using 250 gigabytes of RAM. I do not have 250 gigabytes of RAM. My page file is my entire SSD. It is not good. It's not good.
So-
we're professionals, guys. We don't have any computer problems. So I've heard, like the tramp stamp, like tattoo tramp stamps aren't on like your ass anymore. The underboob. So do I just have to put like index on the underboobs now?
No. Please don't.